We are with Gwynolo Jones, former MP for Carmarthenshire, down at Burry outside Crazy Craps. It's the election van tour 2022, and we're hoping that people will come down. We've already had 3 or 4 candidates, 4 councillors down here speaking to us about Burry and about generally the election and what needs to be done for the area. Gwynolo, here we are at the election van, the tour. Describe to people, kind of what we're doing, what this van is all about and what it looks like.
Well, we're trying to get the community involved in, not decision making, in airing their views, in making the general public, in making decision makers, leaders in politics, leaders in local authorities, aware of the interests, concerns, wishes of the ordinary person. And increasingly these days that is required, because our whole basis of government is so much on not participatory enough with the local people. So I think this is a great adventure. And I see it as an adventure, really.
Yeah.
It's trying to involve people, giving their views, getting involved with all of us in all this. I have to say, you've got a remarkable setup here. I never expected it to have gone like this. It's like a proper... Well, it's like a proper studio. It is. It's really good. Very good.
And just tell people how old you are.
Oh, well, I don't mind. Age has never been a problem to me. I'll be 80 in November.
Right. And this
I don't feel 80.
No, and this is technology. This is cutting-edge technology that you have been using now and been trained on, essentially, for the last 3 years. And now you are so au fait with it that you could run a newsroom yourself.
Oh, no. I couldn't do what you were doing. You're a technical expert. You're an adventurer. You were there at the beginning of all this. Hyperlocals, local news. What I find amazing about you, Alan Evans, and I don't say this even privately to you, you are always thinking of something new. And that's what amazes me about all this. This has come out of the blue. We were, over the last 3 years, trying to develop Wales News Online, Talk Radio Wales, all that sort of thing. And then you come up with this idea. Have a van, let's go out to the communities. And I said, I still have an apprehension about it, but I've seen it in operation today, and I know already it's going to work. This thing will grow.
And the good thing about this is obviously we can come out into these communities, we chat to the people who are decision makers, but also the public and business owners. We can promote those businesses and advertise. But also this gets podcasts and it goes across the world. This goes on to numerous platforms across the world. 141 countries listening in to us here from Burryport today.
I know. Just think of the influence we have on Evans. It's quite amazing, actually. When you first told me about it, I just didn't believe, because I'm old-fashioned.
Yeah.
When I talk about technology with people, or they tell me about all the new gadgets and all the new arrangements...
Been there, I've got that, I've done that.
No. What I tell them, listen, I was brought up on chalk and slate.
Yeah.
That's what it was like in school, in Cefneithin, in what is nursery school now, in early years. That's how it was. I belong to a generation that's long dead. I'm probably a dinosaur man, and I'm trying to get involved with you with this, and it's really exciting.
Well, you're not a dinosaur, and things haven't changed that greatly when you look at the system. We were talking earlier on to the councillor, the candidates, I should say, and 100,000 people in Wales that are now deprived of a vote because the councillors have gone in unelected. I mean, what do you think of that?
Yes. There are 74 councillors.
That's right.
Who are already councillors.
That's right.
Before next week.
Yeah.
And 100,000 people have no say whatsoever.
Does that bother you as a former politician, the democratic process?
What I experienced in my life was that people are not as interested in politics as you and I imagined. That's number one. So you've somehow got to get them involved. Somehow you've got to create their interest, hold their interest, give them a reason to participate. And that's what's missing, you see. The first past the post vote, the system of voting we have does not help, because I think of Westminster as an example. There are 630 seats in Westminster. About 450 of them have never changed political hands from Labour or Tory for 100 years. Now, so the question is, what's the point of voting? I can't change anything. It'll always be a Tory in Chelmsford. It'll always be Labour in Ebbw Vale. So people say, what's the point of voting? That is why we need to change the voting system. They've done that in Scotland.
I was going to say, that's a piece of news, isn't it?
Wales have an opportunity now because the Welsh Government has given an option to the local authorities to change their voting system.
Yeah.
I put a pound to a penny on it. It won't happen.
You don't think so?
Because what are you asking to do? You are asking hard-centred, controlled Tories, say, in Vale of Glamorgan or Labour in Swansea to share power, to give up that automatic first-past-the-post winning. And what does first-past-the-post means? Invariably, people get into the council or members of parliament are nothing like the majority of people who vote in that area. That's the problem.
We spoke to the candidates again this morning, and they were talking about, fairness, transparency, accountability, and also the way that candidates conduct themselves. The council leaders across Wales have called for fair and, polite, if you like, campaigning. Do you think, within reason that should be, do you think we should be allowed to say, certain things and air our grievances within reason? Do you think we should be sort of controlled about how we react to candidates, calling them out, or the sort of mudslinging that goes on?
It's got to be, as you said, within reason. I don't think they should be vilified, openly 100%. But I believe in calling a spade a spade.
Right.
For instance, in Parliament, you cannot say a member has lied.
That's right.
Well, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. That's an old-fashioned 200-300-year habit of the honourable man, the right honourable gentleman. You know what I mean? You're not honourable if you're a liar, are you? But you can't say that in Parliament. Why? Why not? I don't understand. Yeah, look, politics can be rough. Politics can be too much struggle between people.
Yeah.
But that's the essence of it. If you hold views, say them. If you disagree with someone, say it.
Right. We're going to cut it off there because this chap's going to start his van right behind us, and we'll have a piece of music just to mask that, and we'll come back in a bit.
Well, keep going.
Thank you. There we go, we're back and we are at Burry Port Harbour, and we've got Barbara with us, who's originally from Pontypool, but she's come down to live in Burry Port. Barbara, what do you think of the area first and foremost?
I think it's a very beautiful area. It's got a lot to offer. People are very friendly, very welcoming.
It's fresh eyes, really, isn't it? I mean, some people, when you're born and bred somewhere, you look around, you tend to sort of find the negatives and look at the bad things, but you've come to this with fresh eyes, and this is all very nice for you after Pontypool. You're by the seaside.
Well, that's it. That's why I came, to be back by the seaside. After years of sort of landlocked Barnsley. But it's lovely. Yeah, it's beautiful down here.
And there's obviously local elections, and that anything that needs to get done within the community has to go through almost, that process of politics. It's a necessary evil, really, isn't it? Do you follow politics much? Is it something, will you be voting, for instance?
I'm not sure. I'll talk to people, I think, and see what their views are, but I just feel at the moment that I don't know enough to maybe make a good decision. Yeah.
So you're not sort of entrenched in politics. You're more what have you got to offer? What have you got to say? And then maybe you'll get my vote.
Yes.
Do you think that politics in general has lost its way? Do you think that, leading by example, really, by bad example, has sort of come to the fore?
Yes, I think politicians nowadays, can they be trusted anymore? I think a lot of local politicians probably have the area's best interests at heart. Yeah. But when they get into power, into positions of real power, they lose their way maybe sometimes.
So you're a sort of fan of local politics in general, where things get done, but on, I'm fair in saying, I guess, as far as it comes to the national government, it's they seem to be a law unto themselves.
Well, yes, I just think maybe pressures come from different areas for them to make decisions that maybe they wouldn't have made when they were local politicians.
And for anyone listening in, why should they come and sort of spend time in Burryport, do you think?
It's just a lovely place to be. It's a very natural place. It's not a tourist resort area, so it's lovely all year round. Beautiful places to walk. Lots of things to do, lots of clubs to join now that we're out of COVID restrictions.
Yeah. Speaking to people in and around Burryport, we spoke with some of the candidates this morning. We've got Lowry Hill with us now, who lives in Burryport as well. Lowry, are you following the election? Are you voting in the local elections?
Yes, I'll probably vote in the local elections.
Have you made your mind up as to who you might vote for, or?
No, not just yet, no.
What influences you as a young person? What kind of, what drives you to go out and vote? Is it about changing things in your community? Is it about sort of improving things for, future generations?
Yes, it's about, someone who would improve the area, help with, anything really, just to make the place a nicer place for people to be at.
And do you think Burryport's got a lot to offer?
Oh yes, a lot. Burryport's a brilliant place to be and live at. I've lived in Burryport my whole life and I love it. I absolutely love that we're so close to the harbour and everything. I just love everything about it. I'd never move out of Burryport.
And with, obviously the things that need to be done in Burryport, are there things, do you think they're tackling all the issues? Do you think there are other things that need to be done for young people, in particular provision, youth clubs, they sort of hardly exist anymore, meeting centres, places for old people to gather and have parties, and do you think more of that needs to be done? Is there enough of that going on?
I don't think there is enough, but I think people are trying to now. Since lockdown, everything's calmed down. I think people are trying to get back into it and make more events. And certain events that have happened so far have been brilliant. So I think things are getting better anyway. And
so when they come knocking on your door, do you sort of tell them what you want, or
Sometimes I have, but when they knock for like the 7th time, then you're. But yes, I do sometimes. Yeah, I do have a chat with them sometimes. Yes.
Yeah, and you think they do a good job in general, the politicians, the council in Burryport? They've been in for quite some time now. Do you think in the last sort of 4 years that they've worth their money, what they're being paid for?
Well, I think so. I don't think I've got anything negative to say right now. But no, I think they're doing a good job.
There we are. Is with us here now outside Crazy Crabs, Harriet Sheehan. You've been to Italy for 10 days, a marked difference from Burryport, warmer weather I guess, but similar cultures in a way, aren't they?
Yes, to be honest, it's been a fantastic 10 days, but I couldn't wait to come back.
So you must love Burryport to return from Italy.
Yes, well, we've still got the beautiful beaches, the good sense of community amongst everybody, and our lovely lighthouse.
Well, you're going to be asked now to vote for somebody to represent that community and do the best for the community. Are you into politics? Do you sort of, not so much the politics itself, but the local politics, the comings and goings in the town, the operations, what needs to be done, the dog poo picking up, the bins need emptying, do you follow that kind of stuff?
Yes, and I'm part of the Burryport and Pembrey community Facebook group as well, so we're all very, any opinions or if anyone feels the need for councillors to help out, then people will tend to post on there as well, which is very helpful.
So we know that things have changed now. The politicians of old, a certain generation would have relied on just being voted in, and you hardly ever see them. Now there's a bigger demand to speak to these people and to communicate with them. We see Lee Waters, the MS, and Nia Griffith on Facebook. They have their own pages. They hold their sort of surgeries almost through the pandemic. Are you a fan of that, or do you worry about the trolling and the abuse that these people are getting? Because we hear a lot about that as well.
I think it's sort of, it's part of the job really.
You
when
think?
You are in the public, our councillors are.
Yeah.
Lee Waters is very involved on the community group, and I have to say that he's really good on there. He'll address the issues and try and ameliorate them.
Yeah. So you think they have to have thick skin, really, and take it,
Yes.
because you put your head above the parapet,
Yes.
you should see what's coming, really.
Yes, and you're not always going to make everyone happy,
No.
but they do try.
Yeah. And what are the main issues? What are coming to the fore, really, for your community forum? What are the things people are talking about?
A lot of people are speaking about, lately there's been quite a few forums relating to parking in Buryport.
Right. Because they were going to take away the free parking, weren't they?
Yes, and our councillors got involved with this and they have stopped it, thank goodness. And what other issues? I think there's a call for more groups, as a mother myself.
Community groups
Yes,
to gather.
for children.
Yeah.
They do have clubs and things like that going
Yeah.
on in the summer.
I know the Nurture Centre in Carmarthen is coming into Kidwelly. They're taking over the Princess Gwenllian Centre, baby massage, yoga,
Yes.
wholesome food, vegan food, all that kind of thing.
Yes.
It thrives. I know places like Glastonbury have got the Rainbow, the assembly rooms, the Rainbows and Cafe, and these are the places where people love to go with them. Like I say, young mums. People talk about all sorts of sexual health issues, all sorts of things. Somewhere where you can actually find a listening ear, somebody who's going to share their expertise and knowledge, and it doesn't cost the earth.
Yes, I think these groups help massively with support. There are, there's vulnerable people in every society. There's a few in Buryport that I know of firsthand myself, and I think that support from the community, not just with the councillors, it goes such a long way.
And do you think then that when these people get voted in, that they should really come and engage far more with these places to find out, what it is at the coalface, what it's like?
Definitely. I think that's, that the key is engaging with the community. It's not just when the elections are coming up, but, throughout their terms.
Yeah. And do you see sort of age as being a barrier? You were talking about 78-year-olds now serving that have been there for, generation after generation of council. Would you like to see a more diverse, younger, and not so much even younger, but people who've got that experience and qualifications to, if you're dealing with youth, for instance.
Oh, yes.
You don't want an 80-year-old dealing with youth unless they've been a youth worker for all their lives, do you really?
I think we live in such changing times. It's paramount to have somebody that can speak to all levels of society. It is beneficial having older people to help with with our elderly, but you need to have a younger voice as well.
Yeah, to empathise.
Yeah.
Well, Harriet, many thanks, and I'm glad you've come back from Italy, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to talk to you. But
Thank
do
you
you
very
like
much.
the Pet Shop Boys?
Oh, yes.
Leslie, a beautiful place. What do you like about Buryport?
It's the fresh air, the freedom to move around, plenty of walks for the dog.
Yeah.
Everybody's very nice down here. Everybody talks to you. It's just the perfect place to be, really. There's a huge beach, and you can just walk. It's rush hour on the beach if there's 12 people there, so it's absolutely gorgeous.
I'm detecting an accent there somewhere. Where?
Cardiff.
Ah, right, okay. So how long have you been down here?
2005 we came down from Edinburgh.
And why did you choose Buryport?
My parents live in Trimsaran, so I came down. My father died, came to look after my mother, my sister.
Well, that's an issue in itself, isn't it? It's the care for the elderly that we're looking at the local elections. And do you think that that is at the moment adequate, that we are providing the right
They're
level of care?
desperate for beds.
Yeah.
In most care homes. The trouble is they don't pay their staff enough, so they can't retain their staff.
Yeah, the industry is it as you say, low pay and such important work, isn't it?
It's been taken over by big business and they just don't want to pay the wages.
Where does politics come in that then, do you think?
Well, I used to work in a council-run nursing home back when I was 20. And it seemed to work very well. It was low, the costs were lower.
Yeah.
We had plenty of staff.
Yeah.
And people really had a more rounded
I guess people actually had that investment as well, because these were possibly their aunties, uncles, parents, grandparents.
Yeah.
So do you think that, the politicians, the government, local, national, need to invest more in that end of our society then, for that kind of end of life care?
Yes, I think the nursing home should go back to local government care and let them organise it, because it's not working the way it is. The hospitals can't discharge people because there aren't enough beds in homes for people. It's very difficult, even with my sister and I both being nurses, it was very difficult looking after my mother at home.
We're hearing a lot, though, about this looming financial crisis. Do you worry that these essential services will be cut further?
They've already been cut and cut and cut. I don't know whether they could cut anymore unless they stopped it completely.
Yeah.
It's getting beyond.
So, do you express this to the politicians when they come around for you? What do you tell them what you want?
We don't see them very much in Stradey Hill. The last time they came round, my husband sent them packing, so they don't come again.
Right.
Don't get the chance.
Yeah, well, that's kind of almost... you can't blame them for that.
You can't blame them. I don't blame them for not coming.
No. So, will you be voting, and is it important to you?
I always make an appointment. It's very important. If you don't vote, you can't complain.
Yeah. What do you make of this, that over 100,000 people have lost that sort of ability to vote, that 74 councillors in Wales have been elected unopposed? There's no election. They've just gone in because nobody else is standing.
Well, that's always been the way in Llanelli, isn't it? It's Labour, Labour and Labour. And when you do that for a number of years, people do tend to not bother because they think, well, they're not going to get in anyway.
Well, the old saying is you can put a donkey in a red coat.
Yeah.
You've heard that one. Well, it's a pleasure speaking to you. I hope you enjoy your walk with the dog now. And I know you've given it a sausage to encourage it along from... you didn't give me a sausage, you gave the dog a sausage. That says a lot, doesn't it? We're with Ruth Johnson, who's come down from Wiltshire to Burryport and is staying in Cwrtacadno in Kidwelly, a lovely cottage there. Ruth, why did you come down? You've come a long way with your family. I can see your children, your grandchildren.
My granddaughter booked it. We wanted a family holiday because I just relocated from where I used to live with my daughter, and she's got a little great-grandson for me. So we're spending time together.
And what do you think of the area, Carmarthenshire in general?
Lovely. So lovely and clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody's so pleasant.
You're in the harbour at the moment. It's kind of, I guess, in any other part of the world, there'd be hotels here, there'd be all sorts of things going on. But do you sort of appreciate the fact that there's not too much commercialisation?
No, it's not commercialised. It's lovely. It's very friendly. Yeah.
And you went to the country park as well?
Yes, the country park we thought was very beautiful. Yeah. And,
we in Wales at the moment, there's obviously a move to ensure that local people can have local housing, and second homeowners, are sort of almost trying to stop that. I don't know what it's like in Wiltshire, whether you have that kind of same thing where people are coming in and you're saying, oh, we don't really want you to buy up our properties here.
Yeah.
What's your views on that? Do you think you should be allowed to sort of buy and sell wherever you like?
Well, I think there's room for both, really. I think you're always going to have people want to have a holiday home, and I would presume that's what you're on.
Yeah, mainly second homes, holiday homes. Yeah.
Where I live, there was a lot of second homes.
Were there?
Because I used to live in Cambridge.
Right.
And there was an awful lot.
Close to London then, isn't it? Yeah.
But as I say, as long as it doesn't get, you're not overrun with... holiday lets and things. You don't want houses standing empty, do you, really?
Do you think that it's almost, you're of a generation that might remember sort of like, politics as was. Do you think we are kind of getting to that point where the state is over-nannying society and involving itself in issues that really society would have generally solved themselves, dictating almost rather than by democratic sort of process?
You got me on that one. I can't hear you very well.
Okay. I'm just talking about the democratic process, and whether or not we've gone into a bit of a nanny state with politicians dictating to us, you can do this, you can't do that, you must do this, you must do that.
I'm absolutely with you there.
Yeah.
No, I think we've gone too far.
Do you think?
If I had my way, I'd go back to how I was.
So do you think politicians should really just focus on the politics and stay out of the nannying state type thing?
Yeah. I think that's sort of...
We're mature enough to make our own minds up about, how we stay safe and how we look after ourselves.
Have our own voice.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah.
And in Wiltshire, I don't know what it's like for you there, but here in Wales, obviously, the democracy is we've got our town councils, our community councils, our county councils, the MS and the MP, and they're talking about increasing the number of politicians. It's a big wage bill as well. Are they worth it?
No. In one word.
One word.
No, I think, we're all able to make our own minds up to a certain extent about what we want and what we don't want.
Yeah. So you're not a fan of politicians or politics in general, or?
Well, no, I think we've gone a bit too far with it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a bit cross with how they behave. Contradictory.
Yeah. Hypocritical, possibly. These are the kind of words you're fishing for.
Yes, quite. Yeah.
Well, many thanks. We hope you enjoy the rest of your stay in Carmarthenshire, and thanks for talking to us. Thanks for visiting and spending your hard-earned cash down here and keeping businesses afloat.
I don't mind doing that because everybody's been so wonderful.
That's wonderful. We'll go on with the music now, but many thanks for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
I'm with Kev Brigden outside Crazy Crabs in Burryport. Kev, local elections coming up. We spoke briefly earlier on, you were talking about the harbour and sort of a waste of money, really, and politicians on the council ignoring the kind of advice about how the harbour could be dredged and drained and maybe in an ecologically more friendly way. So just tell us a bit about that. What's been happening here?
Well, the thing was, about 14 years ago, they were warned about the sudden influx of sand, which was going to move along the coast and into the harbour. They've been warned about this for about 20 years. So what we come up with an idea of putting lock gates in with sluice pipes. So if we were to put turbines on the sluice pipes, the whole system would have been totally eco-friendly, totally carbon-free for the last 14 years. So what the council have been doing is using JCBs and diggers and trucks to try and move the sand. And it was making no odds whatsoever because it was just moving straight back into the harbour. So the eco cost alone on the diesel they've been using, and at the moment they're now using a sand moving around machine, using thousands of tonnes of diesel for no reason at all. It seems absolutely crazy to us. So they've wasted over £750,000 so far.
This is obviously the council are responsible, and there's also a private firm here now, the Marina Group, who are sort of, I guess, overseeing that. And the public funding this? Is public money being used?
Yes, I mean, when we first mentioned it years ago, with the lock gates and the sewage pipe system, it would have been a one-off cost.
Yeah.
A little bit of maintenance charges, that's about it. So what we're saying is for the last 14 years, the amount of money they've been spending, and we don't know how much they actually paid in Cardiff Marine every year just to sluice the harbour, and it's just simply not working.
Despite that, we're looking at Burryport here. It's very busy today. Crazy Crabs is doing a roaring trade. You have people coming down for their crabs and their food and tea and so on. Is it still a sort of a nice place to be for you? Do you enjoy, do you sort of relay this to the politicians? You want to see different things here? Do you want things to improve, or are things okay as they are?
Well, this is another point we've been making about the money that's been wasted on the harbour so far. I mean, if they would have took that money and put decent toilets in for a start. I mean, obviously, there's been a big issue with Snowdon at the moment with public toilets. I mean, we really do have the same problem here. I mean, we've got a toilet over in by the train station. We've got a portable loo which no one can use, and we've got, lucky enough, Crazy Crepes has actually got one toilet. But there's things like covered seating. I mean, you go to any coastal resort, you've got like covered seating, which you do not have down here.
Do you think that we're sort of lagging behind on the tourism front then, and this needs a bit more development to cater for the tourists?
Oh, 100% behind you on that one. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, how you could develop the harbour, instead of building houses, you actually put in bars and restaurants, which would create local jobs.
I guess some people would say, well, that's not green. It's going to spoil the ambience of the place. We like it as it is. It's been this way for centuries, and that's maybe the appeal for. We spoke to somebody from Wiltshire picture earlier on. Said, "Oh, it's absolutely beautiful, and we love it. This is why we came to Pembrey and Burry Port." But you'd argue that for future, for jobs, for the economy, and all these kind of things, we really do need a bit more commercialisation here in Burry Port. Then,
well, yeah, I mean, you've got to remember, I mean, back in the day when I was a child, I mean, it's still an industrial dock. You know, we still had the power station here. We had the old buildings left over from the old copper works.
Yeah.
We still had the old railway line, so we still see it as an industrial site. And these days, it's happening a lot where people are taking the old industrial and turning it to leisure. I mean, canals, for example, and canal boats. You know, so taking it a step further, taking something which was commercial, and then making it into leisure.
Yeah, the heydays of the 60s, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I still remember the old trains coming across here. You know, so for us, it's probably slightly different to people who move down now and tourists. We see it in a slightly different way.
You were talking as well about the demise of the big bands and Phil Collins in a bad way. Do you like the Beatles?
I was never more of a Beatles fan. I was a bit too young for the Beatles.
There we are, we're back outside Crazy Creps, and we've got the owner with us, Steve Avery. Steve, you've been here for a little while now. You've turned what was a WC into the pink heaven of crepery kingdom in Burry Port. A nice lucrative business, if the taxmans are listening. Not too lucrative, but lucrative enough. What made you come here, and how did this come about? Tell us a bit about the business.
We started about 15 years ago. I left the RAF and I was looking for a job. We come up with the Crazy Crep trailer. So we started that on the harbour about 15 years ago. And then my wife saw an opportunity in the old toilet block here. We approached the council about 4 years ago. Eventually got through and we managed to change it into the crepery.
And I can see it's a sort of a calling point really for just about anyone that comes down to the harbour, stops here, has a cuppa, has, it's more than crepes. You offer breakfast, you offer takeaway. People come up and park the car there because see the waitresses taking the coffees into the cars. It's very enterprising, isn't it?
Yes, it certainly is. We try and look after every customer with all the different needs. So we deliver to the cars, deliver to the seats, to the tables, everything.
And I guess when there are events on, this is a popular cycling route, and you get rides coming through, charitable events coming in. This is where they congregate, is it?
Yeah, we offer a service. So we had a lady last week. She was doing 7 marathons in 7 days. Sammy Lewis. She was raising money for Tea Haven.
Yeah.
So she, on one of the days, she finished at the Crazy Creps, and then we put on free stuff for the kids. The kids helped her to run the last mile, and then we put on some free refreshments for the kids at the end of it.
Do you offer sort of, catering for parties and things like that as well?
We don't at the moment. It's just everything from here. We don't do the outside catering in a minute.
Yeah.
I've still got the trailer from the Crazy Creps, so we do events and things with that.
Yeah. And just locally, we're hearing from people today, how wonderful Burry Port is, but there are things that might need doing. The harbour needs a bit of work. So the last chap we talked to said, look, it needs a bit more commercialism. We need a few hotels. We need, if you go to other parts of the world like this, you do see it, don't you? You go to the south of France, you go to Spain, and it's like, wow. And we all say how wonderful it is. And you're lucky enough, you're sort of almost the only person here with a commercial venture.
Yes, that's right. At the moment, there is plans for the other side of the harbour. There seems to have been plans for the last 10 years for the other side of the harbour. The plans come up and then they disappear. New plans come up, disappear. But the more the better, because it just brings footfall to the harbour. We
talked earlier on to somebody about the nanny state and sort of politics getting involved in things they shouldn't. Do you think this kind of side of things, the commercialisation, should be left to private industry, rather than the council saying we've got a master plan, we're going to do this, instead of that just saying, look, bring your business here, we'll help you, we'll support you.
Yeah, we had a lot of help from the local councillors when we wanted to transfer the toilet block to the cafe. I think they should provide the areas and then let the people come up with the plans and trust in what they can do.
We heard somebody saying there's only one toilet in sort of there's a Portaloo somewhere, and it's not really that great. If you're a visitor and you're sort of like, you got a queue for, like, if it's busy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We do need those kind of things, don't we?
They need a bit more infrastructure down here, We provide 2 toilets, one inside, one out, which is a lot better than the toilet block that was closed for most of the year because it used to get vandalised regularly.
Do you see a discrepancy in kind of what, for instance, is happening in Pembrey Country Park, where everything seems to be happening? happening. And here, which is like really is the jewel in the crown for Carmarthenshire, and it's the harbour's second to none.
Yeah, inside the harbour, it seems to be a lot of problems with the silting up. Everything they seem to do doesn't work. So I don't know, they just seem to need to listen to some experts rather than maybe a computer system telling them do this, do that.
Yeah.
It just, whatever they're trying doesn't work at the moment.
So what are your plans for the future now? Expansion here, anything else that you're planning here? We can see the outdoor area you've got going on. We talked earlier on maybe about, heated umbrellas or so. I don't know if they're environmentally friendly or covered area, or what other plans have you got?
We'd like to put a conservatory on the back.
Right.
So that in the winter we've got a bit more inside seating, and we can allow dogs into the back as well then.
So more dog friendly.
Yeah.
Dog ice cream like they used to have down in Llanelli.
We give free puppuccinos.
Oh, puppuccinos.
So squirt the cream in the cup.
Oh, that's good. Well, we'll plug that then. Free puppuccinos at Crazy Craps. I might go and try one of them myself. No, they're human friendly as well, are they? No.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
They are. Hey, Steve, many thanks for hosting us today, allowing us to plug into your 3-point plug there and steal your electricity and the coffee as well for the councillors we saw, and cappuccinos for ourselves. But many thanks, Steve, for your help today. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks.